Happy 5th anniversary, Leeann. Today is a very special video because today marks a special occasion for my wife and I. And I'm putting this up on my channel because, number one, I want it to be special for her. But at the same time, for all of you who do watch my videos and hang out here on the channel, you know by now how special family is to me and how important it is. You know how much I share with my wife and kids. As a matter of fact, the day that this is coming out on, we're doing our family Fortnite Friday, like usual, our Kill Race Friday nights. So this will come out in around the same time as that. It's just one of those things that family has always been very, very important. A very important part of my life. And I'm sharing this with you all because of that. Because of my continued importance of my family, but at the same time to share with you guys how important this is. But this video isn't really directed at the public. This is directed to my wife. To my wife, Leeann. Today marks 5 years from the day that we've been married. But at the same time, this year, March, meant 15 years of us being together. It's a long time. A very long time to share life together. And it makes me think back on a lot. There's a lot that I can recall, and a lot that I'd like to talk about. So, let's go back to the beginning. My senior year of high school. I met you in art class, of all places. I sat there, I think the first couple of days of that school year in art class by myself while you were with other people. And I kind of kept to myself, as I usually did, because I didn't really have anybody. And I sat there with usually a manga or my little Japanese pocketbook in hand, where I was trying to learn words and phrases and things from, and pick up on little things for the language, and stuff I still do on occasion to this day. But I sat there learning while I wasn't working on my art projects. And granted, we had only just started, so there wasn't much that we were doing. But the teacher was showing us a couple of things and getting us prepared for our first project, and having us do some like warm-up drawings and stuff, if I'm remembering correctly. But I remember how things kind of integrated. Where initially one of your friends had asked to see my pocketbook. It was like, sure, yeah, go ahead, I don't mind. And the next thing you know, the three of you at that table all began to talk to me. We found common ground on things, and anime and manga and video games and random stuff that we saw on the internet. And out of all of them, the most outspoken, surprisingly, of all people, was you. The one who paid the most attention to me was you. And for months from that point forward, I just enjoyed sitting and talking with you about whatever. The most random things. Pairing up and working on projects together in art. Everything from whatever picture or drawing or something that we had to work together on, project, up through Christmas time when we did the gingerbread houses and stuff together. And so much more. And I remember at first being my typical withdrawn self, but I remember slowly coming out of my shell, going home and thinking about things, and realizing that I was looking forward to the next day, coming into school and talking to you, all the way up until March of 2010, just a couple short months before I graduated high school. That very day, March 10th, that very day, I was feeling the utmost confidence because of the fact that that night was my high school hockey championship. It was the last game in high school that I'd ever play. And I had fear, but I had confidence because I knew I was going to go out there and I was going to put on my all. I was going to give it my all, do my absolute best, no matter what the outcome. I remember being so excited about that. But I remember I had something else on my mind going into that day. And that something else was you. And the thing was, going back to before that, if we fall back a little bit more again, I think about how my mind and my time was occupied by other people. And even romantically, when you think about that aspect of things, I had other people that I had interest in and that I chased for a little bit, but things never worked out. And I was too blind to let go of a lot of it. But when I started to think about how those people treated me, and then how you treated me, the difference of how they made me feel and how you made me feel, it was very superficial how other people saw me. But it was never that way with you. And you know me as the kind of person that I'm never superficial. I look more towards what's inside. And I found myself feeling and thinking so much differently about you than anybody else ever could. And when that day came, when March 10th hit, I took a deep breath because I knew that I had to do something. I knew that I had to ride that wave of confidence that I had, and I had to take the chance on you. Because if I didn't, I knew I'd regret it. But, of course, I was nervous throughout the day. My mind was on hockey, but it was also on you. Every day, up until then, like I said, I was looking forward to it more and more, seeing you, spending time with you. And that was the day that I finally came in and I said, enough's enough. I have to take this chance. Forget about everybody else. I'm done with being played. I'm done with having my heart toyed with. I'm done with being seen as just a matter of convenience. I have somebody here who sees me as something more. I have somebody here who sees me for who I am and for our common ground, our common loves in anime and manga and video games, in art, in drawing, in random stuff on the internet and music and of course our differences too. We shared our differences, but we never took negatively to them. We were open to exploring and enjoying those differences with each other. So as we walked out of the school that day, I was about to walk away, scared, still nervous, hadn't said anything. But I stopped. You went and said goodbye to me, but you also went to tell me good luck. And I looked at you, and right then and there I was like, hey, I have a question for you. And I asked you out. And I will never forget the excited kind of screech that you let out. It was so funny and unexpected. But I'll never forget that. Because it was funny, because from that moment on, it was you and me. And the worst part is, I think about the fact that that night, one of the other people that, like I said, prior to you and me, that I tried to be with, was there with me at my hockey game. And under the circumstances, it was a case of, I wish it was you. I wished it could have been you, but things were so last minute, and they were still a friend, but it was a case where, you know how that went. They're no longer in my life. Nobody from back then is in my life anymore, because nobody cared to stay around. Nobody cared about me for in here. But you stayed around. You cared. As much as I wished that you were there that night, things played out differently for whatever reason, but I think they played out perfectly fine and for the better. Because also, being near that person just a little bit longer helped me to get over anything else and any worries that I had. Helped me to realize that I made the right decision in choosing you. So from that moment forward, I didn't look back. I was happy that you were there. And from that moment forward, that started our future. Through the rest of high school, that was it. It was you and me. My mind was completely occupied with you, getting through that school year, being done, and getting ready to go to college. So, we moved forward. Fast forward to after I graduated. I was done with school. But you weren't. You still had time yet. You had another year. I still made every effort to come to see you as often as possible. We did so much together. We spent so much time together. And eventually that following year was a bit of a rocky one for us because, well, I was in my first year of college from that fall through the spring, and things were different for me. But I had my motivations, I had my things that I wanted to do, but I just couldn't buckle myself down. I was struggling with my first year of school, of post-high school, you know? Life was different, but I still had you to lean on. And come the springtime, while I was struggling, still trying to do my best, but I was struggling with my schooling and with how things were going for me in college. Come that spring into the summer, was when we finally found out that we were going to be parents. Life changed for us drastically at that point, didn't it? It was happy. It was a great moment, but it was a little bittersweet under the circumstances that we didn't know what we were doing. We were diving into something head first. But we were human. We made mistakes. Things happen. We were young. We were human. That's all there is to it. And later that year, November of 2011, we had our baby boy, our first. We had Toby. Life got even more tumultuous. It became more of a roller coaster. We had Toby. We had every plan in the world to start looking forward to a wedding and start looking forward to trying to make life worth it. And at that time, now you were living with me and my parents. We were all living together in my parents' house. And you know what? I would never take back any of those moments. No matter how rocky things were, no matter how difficult they were, I was always motivated to come home to you every day from work, every day from school, every day from everything. Just to move forward together and live life together happily. We had goals set for ourselves, like I said, to eventually have a wedding, to get a home of our own someday, to just have a happy life. And we started doing more together. We started just exploring other parts of life. We started to go to the anime conventions together. We started to find other things that we liked and enjoyed, and whether it was stuff on TV, whether it was anime, whether it was games and whatnot, whatever the case was, it was just the happy things that we enjoyed together. You still loved reading books even to this day. You read so many books that it's so funny, because there's times I wish I could keep up with you with the amount of books that I have that I haven't read, but I love to read. It was another thing that we found in common. But you know, we just love to go places together, to go shopping, go look at cool stuff, even if we didn't buy anything. Sure, we did. There was plenty of times where we did, but even if we didn't go buy anything, we just wanted to go for a ride, go shop together, go out, go walk around, go do something. It was fun. Now, over those next couple of years, from 2011 to 2013, 2014, I continued to struggle in school, where eventually I left the first college I ever went to. UPJ was a great school, but it was too much for me. It was too overwhelming for my anxiety and depression, and for my ADHD, my issues that I was dealing with. It wasn't a school that was kind to someone like that, especially the computer science program. Which, no big deal. It's still a great school. It's still a great place to be. I mean, look, my niece is there right now, studying, doing her best. But it is a very tough school to go to. But I took a break. I took a break from school to focus on life, to focus on family. And I'm glad I made that decision, because as we continued to push forward in life, come 2014 is when I decided my break was done. I've been off for a little over a year. I wanted to finish my degree in some way, shape, or form. I was going to get an associate's degree, and I made my decision to go to community college. And Penn Highlands, one of the best decisions I made. Because within a year, I had my associate's degree. Come 2015, I had graduated from college, and I knew that I made the best step towards supporting my family, towards supporting you and Toby. And then little did we know, and around that same time, we found out that we were going to have Andy later that year, come October. And then October hits, and just before Halloween, here we are. We've got another little one. Now we have Andy. We had been together for 5 years. And in 5 years' time, high school was done. College was done. We had 2 children. And granted, things weren't exactly working out the way we hoped. We were still living under my parents' roof. We were still doing our own thing, but at the same time still having to live with adjustments and things, and still having to figure our own way. And over the next 5 years, we continued to do that. And sometimes I look at things like from the perspective of bad things may happen in the world, but sometimes those bring good things for us. And the reason I say that is not that we celebrate anything bad happening, but COVID was a nightmare for the world. But the pandemic was good to us in the sense that we had been shopping for a home. We had been preparing for that next step in life. And we were also preparing for our wedding. Financially, we still weren't 100% there. But I was working a better job. The job I am now. Making much better money than I had ever made before. Life felt like it was in the perfect point for us to do these things finally that we were looking forward to the most. Toby was gonna turn 9 years old that year. We had already had him in our life for 9 years. And that also would have been 10 years of us being together. By the time he was here, it was almost 11, you know? Or by the time it would have been his birthday, I should say. It was getting close. Just a couple months later would be 11 years together for us. So there towards the end of 2019, before things really kicked off and started to get crazy, was when we found our house here. Was when we started to look for things. We went through a couple of visitings and whatnot, but then it was the springtime, actually, of 2020. But I'm getting a little jumbled up because it was the time in around the end of 2019 is when we started looking. With the help of my parents, with the realtors and stuff like that, we started looking. And there come the beginning of 2020, where we found our house. And we started to look forward to things. And of course, we had our bumpy road with that, with buying the house. We had the process that took us all over the place because of all the issues and stuff like that. But it wasn't issues on our end so much as it was on the people selling the house. The complicated relationship between the former people that owned this and the realtor and all that stuff. But everything went so smoothly for us and for our end that eventually come May of that year, May 8th, 1 month before my birthday, we closed on the house. I signed the paperwork and I got the key. And we took the picture where we stood out in the yard. I set my tripod up across the road on the corner. And we took the picture and shared it with everybody to announce that we were officially homeowners. One big dream that finally came true. Then we found out that the pastor at our church was leaving. So we decided to contact him. And we started his process for the wedding. We set the date for June 20th. It was quick, but he was such a kind guy and such a good person that we wanted it to be done by him. And even our family was excited about that prospect of him being the one to officiate our wedding. We figured, you know what? There's no better time. We're officially starting our own life in our home together. We're working on our home. We're getting ready to go into the next chapter of our life. Let's make it fully official. So we did the counseling and everything leading up to it. All until June 19th. You and the boys stayed over at my parents' house. I remember coming home that night here, thinking about the fact that we were still kind of in the process of unpacking, which, hey, you look at it even to this day, we still are. Despite being moved out into this house, we're still kind of unpacking and still trying to figure out everything and find a place for everything. This place is a mess, but it's our mess. But June 19th of 2020, I sat in this empty house by myself, alone with my thoughts. Alone for the first time in a long time. Thinking about what the next day was going to bring. We had gone through our rehearsal. We knew what was going to happen. We were excited about it all. But I was just so anxious that my energy drained so quick. I didn't expect to sleep at all that night. Because without you by my side, I never could sleep. Times that when you were working and away, I felt horrible. Because you weren't there. Couldn't sleep until you were there. I'm still that way to this day. But I sat there that night on the couch, on your side of the couch, thinking of what the next day meant. Thinking of how much even just the short time of being away from you, knowing that you were 5 minutes away if I had to go to my parents' house, that I still missed you. And my heart raced anxiously for a little while as I sat there alone on the couch. And I didn't know what to do or what to think. But I knew that it was making me feel more tired and that the only way I was going to get through this was to try to sleep. I couldn't even sleep with the lights off, though. I turned on the side lamp on your end table. And I laid down, and it didn't take me too long, surprisingly, to fall asleep. And that night I didn't dream of anything. I just remember it being blank. I remember waking up, though, just before my alarm, on the 20th, thinking I had a limited time, but it was time to get ready, time to do my best, and time to be there for you. That we were finally going to be married. I remember getting a shower, making sure that I was clean shaven and everything. I had shaved the night before, but I went back over it. I showered, dressed, fixed my hair, put some spray in it to try and help hold it. And you know my hair never stays, whether it's gel, spray, whatever, it just doesn't like it. But I tried to keep it nice. I brushed my teeth twice. Had gum and some mints in my pocket to make sure that my breath was okay, because I couldn't stand that feeling when I get nervous and anxious and my throat starts to get dry, or it's just like the back of my throat that's still a little moist, but it just feels like, for whatever reason, my breath was gonna sour, and I'm like, nope, I've got to stay minty, I got to stay fresh, I got to be good. I had stuff there. I put a little spray of cologne on myself, just a little bit. You know I hate that overpowering smell. I can't have too much, but I put a little spray on, and I jumped in the car and I left to go to the church. And I sent a message to my dad, who was supposed to bring the boys to me so that I could see them and help them put their ties on and stuff like that. I was there early, a little too early. But I got there alone in the parking lot, just kind of wandering around by myself, nervous, pacing back and forth. And then he showed up with the boys. We got them ready. We went into the church. I got their ties and stuff on and spent a little time with them, and then it was just time to hang out upstairs. And I went upstairs and I saw a couple people throughout that morning, but everything was kind of a blur. I knew that you were there at that point. I knew family had started to arrive, the few that we were allowed to have because of the restrictions. But I sat there as the pastor walked in to see me after he had seen you. And he says to me, he just says, "Today's the day, are you ready?" And I just looked at him, trying to hold in the same thing I'm trying to hold in now. Tears. As I looked at him and I said, "As I'll ever be." The nervousness, the excitement, the anxiety, it all hit me at once. But it was time. There wasn't any turning back. Not that I ever would have. But it was time to go forward and start another chapter in our life. And I followed him out, and the music started to play. And I turned to look at the front door where you'd be coming in. The moment you did, I lost it. That was the most beautiful I had ever seen you. And the way my heart felt in that moment. That was such a rush and a feeling that even adrenaline junkies wish they could have. Thrill seekers and the people that do these crazy things, looking for that feeling and that rush of emotion and adrenaline and all that. They only wish they could feel that way. And I watched you walking towards me, and I could not help but burst into tears. I couldn't hold it in. And when you stood there in front of me, looking me in the eyes, and the fact that I couldn't break my gaze from you and from yours, the smile you had on your face, the fact that my aunt she snuck up around the other side of the church, the door, she snuck through the side door, out of her pew, up the side door, behind the other little door that came out behind me, and tucked the tissue into my hands. Gave everybody a laugh. I'm still thankful for that moment. But when I looked in your eyes in that very moment, as the pastor began his speech, I knew I made the right decision. And from that day forward, I don't regret a single thing. 5 years later, here we are. Over those next 5 years, we've had plenty of ups and downs. Being homeowners, having to get a new car, the issues and things from COVID alone. But still trying to find ways to have a happy life. Over these last 5 years, financial issues and our own personal issues and things like that we've fought through and struggled through and suffered through, and my mental health issues and things, it's been difficult. But anytime I genuinely sit and think about it, we're dealing with things that other people also have. Maybe not the identical situation, but if they could get through it, so could we. We fight on occasion, like any other couple. We have our moments. Our life, our relationship, it's not perfect. It's never going to be. We have plenty of bouts of laziness, and it's why our house is a wreck, you know? We struggle. But no matter how hard the struggle, no matter how much goes on, I don't regret it. Not one bit. I don't regret asking you to be mine. I don't regret proposing to you on the day of our baby shower for Toby. I don't regret marrying you, choosing you to spend the rest of my life with. And 15 years later, after being together, starting our life together, and 5 years later, after saying I do, regardless of any issues and any struggles that we have, I don't regret choosing you. And I never will. Anytime I have doubts in myself, you pull me out. You reassure me. Despite everything. You know the right things to say. To this day, I will still look at you and get butterflies in my stomach off of the stupidest things. For times that you would think would be stupid. It's just random. Times where you could be a complete mess. You just woke up, your hair's disheveled, you throw on a t-shirt and some sweatpants and whatever, and I still look at you and it's like, my heart still does what it does. My stomach still does what it does. And it's like, I feel those butterflies. I feel those little flips and things. And it's like, I know I made the right choice. I would never look back. I would never do anything different. I would never change anything. And I wouldn't regret a single thing. And I don't. I have plenty of regrets. But none of them involve you or our kids. The only thing I regret surrounding us is basically that there are times that I know I could have done better. The only thing I can do is move forward and continue to try my best to do better for all of you. And I just want you to remember one thing. One thing. From then until now, and from now going forward, that even though we've had our troubles, our struggles, our issues, like I said, I don't regret a thing, and I would never change a thing. Just remember this one thing. There isn't a lot of things that I believe in so strongly and so passionately. But one of those things is I believe in us. And it's funny because there's a song that is part of the Arknight soundtrack that says those very words. And every time I hear it, I can't help but think of us. And it's the fact that it's a song that speaks. It speaks to me in a way that I feel like relates to us in some things, in some senses. But every time I hear it, I think of what we've gone through, and I think of my faith in our future. And the biggest thing I take from it is in the main chorus portion of the song. It says, I believe in us. When these times get tough and it feels like everything's come undone, it's so hard to change this road we're on. But I'll be keeping faith and take it day by day. Maybe someday soon we'll find the way. We can place our hope in a better day. I believe in us. And I do. I believe in us going forward when all the chips are down, whatever life throws at us. I believe in us, and I always will. So with that said, today is 5 years married and 15 years together. And I'm looking forward to so many more. So I just wanted to say, happy anniversary, and I love you. Here's to many more in the future.